Okay, hello and good morning everybody. This video is covering the 2022 Casuals Tournament Week 3, the Sunday games for Week 3. It's currently about 85 degrees in here, pretty warm, so I have this fan in the background. I'm not sure if the microphone's picking it up. I might have to make some sound adjustments later. But for now, I'm just going to assume that everything's okay. Unfortunately, Walter White is not here today. I have no idea where he is. And we have week 4 starting in about 3 hours. So I thought since I had to wake up early because it's so hot and miserable out here in San Diego, I'd just get this video out of the way. So sorry that it's just me on commentary, but hopefully that's good enough. And here we go. This is Game 1, Killing Grounds, King of the Hill. Alright, so we have 6 starts, which means, of course, the top 2 will be safe and everyone else loses a life. We have 2 teams. The Slowpokes with NCH, Nihilist Comedy Hour, and Kronjak, as well as Legacy Typhoon and Ion, collectively called the Pirates in Sexy Suits. So we see a pretty interesting trade here from Glassjaw, who opted for a large contingent of Thrall. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down for him. Legacy Typhoon opting for the Warriors.
Game on.
Father Xmas with a lot of melee as well. Wings, I would say, might have sort of the standard trade, except maybe he has more, he could have bought a few more dwarves instead. Kronjak going with a couple of Thrall, and Overdose going with Thrall as well.
Captured. Flag contested. Flag contested.
So I think I might just keep the camera like this, since it is a King of the Hill game.
Flag contested.
You see Glassjaw pushing off Father Xmas early on. But Father Xmas fights back. Oh, we see a bomb from Overdose. He's able to kill 2 of Father Xmas's Heron Guard heroes. That is a massive blow. Again, Father Xmas is the points leader, and so it doesn't surprise me that Overdose is going after Father Xmas. Unfortunately, I think he forgot about his Heron Guard heroes, and so he might be losing 2 out of 3 of his Heron Guards. Kronjak shooting Overdose from behind, while Father Xmas shooting at Overdose's bowman. Overdose loses his 3rd Heron Guard hero, so it appears as though Overdose is getting triple teamed at this moment. Meanwhile, over here, we have the pink team moving in with some warriors. Again, warriors generally aren't that effective on killing grounds, just because they can, a whole squad of warriors can get mowed down by Heron Guard heroes. However, in a King of the Hill format, just having... Oh, Father Xmas just lost his 3rd Heron Guard. But yeah, the warriors, they could get mowed down by Heron Guard heroes. And there's not much those warriors can do about it, which is why typically in a 2-team scenario, no one really gets warriors, and they opt instead for some more dwarves. However, in a free-for-all format, I would still opt against warriors, but at the same time, there may be a method to these people's madness. if you look at the percentages right now, we see that Wings has 82%. He has a huge clump of melee units on the flag. He has artillery and Dwarven support, so he is very entrenched and has very good position. Big explosion there. But Father Xmas is moving in with his Thrall, and that might be the only real threat in addition to these. Okay, never mind, those dwarves are dead, but again, Thrall aren't going to be effective against these 3 Heron Guard heroes, or Legacy Typhoon's Heron Guard, or I guess Ions controlling them. You know, it's really going to be difficult. It's really going to be difficult to get Wings or Legacy Typhoon off the flag unless they engage each other, which it looks like it might be going down right now. I see a nice bomb from Wings. Another one. And now these Wings melee units can just wipe up these Thrall. Notice Wings wisely has a warrior on the flag to continue accruing time, even though, as I said that, he walked off, but he's now moving in undoubtedly to get back on the clock. Overdose still throwing some bombs, blowing up Father Xmas again. Father Xmas is a marked man, mostly because of how many points he has going into this week. A lot of other players don't really seem to notice that, but Overdose, as the tournament operator, is well aware, and he's going to town, it looks like. So we see Wings. I think he did lose a Heron Guard hero. Now he just lost a second one. This guy's going to have to heal. Okay, there he goes. And so with those 2 losses, Wings' forces are very, very diminished from what they were just a minute ago. And Legacy Typhoon actually has a very strong advantage, even though I think these Father Xmas Thrall might have just killed one of his Heron Guard heroes. Meanwhile, we have Overdose bringing up the rear with a Thrall wall. He's gonna try and get some time. He really needs to stay away from the Dwarves and the Heron Guard heroes. It'll be interesting to see if he can do that to try and perhaps get 5th place. I don't think he has any chance of getting anything but last place, actually, at this point. So he's really just playing for pride at this point. Meanwhile, we have Wings still going after Legacy Typhoon, even though he's about a few seconds away from locking up this game as well. And yeah, I think regardless of what happens at this point, everybody's place in the game is pretty much locked up. So Father Xmas for sure is going to be losing that point. Glassjaw, who also has a fair amount of lives, is going to lose a life as well. Overdose also is going to lose a life, but perhaps Overdose thought that if he can make Father Xmas lose a life, perhaps it's worth it. And it appears as though Wings is going to seal this victory in a very convincing manner. His formation with the archers, 2 dwarves on the side, and a melee group in the middle was very effective. You can see that he got 187 damage, 60 kills. I don't even know if I've seen 187 damage in a free-for-all Killing Grounds game before, so that could be a record of some sort, along with 60 kills. Definitely dispensing damage, but I would also note that he didn't really have any opposition. If I recall, Kronjak and NCH really just attacked me from behind, and then moved in a bunch of Thrall. So that didn't really do anything. And whoever was here, Legacy Typhoon, didn't really mix it up with Wings. So, I think he was able to get that win pretty easily, mostly due to the lack of opposition, but still, well done. It was a 6-start map, so Wings, Kronjak, and NCH are not going to lose a life, even though I think going into week 3, NCH might have already lost all of his lives. Not really sure. But, yeah, that was game 1. And with that, here we go to game 2. This is Gyre on the Wade, King of the Hill. Again, this would have been Wings' pick. So we have 4 teams. The Baldies with Toonsonator, Legacy Typhoon, Ion and Scratch, Father Xmas and Kronjak, Spy and Wings, Overdose and Glassjaw are both playing by themselves. So one of the things to note about this game is that, of course, there are 3 entryways, and there should theoretically be a fight for each of these entryways. If one team camps and sort of the other team just goes up unopposed, that gives them a huge advantage in the game. Again, since this is King of the Hill, I think I'm just going to keep the camera about here, and we'll see who fights for these access points and who's a camper.
Flag captured. Flag contested.
So we see that Overdose is possibly the culprit, borderline ruining the game by allowing Glassjaw this access point unopposed, which is going to allow him to stack time quite easily. Also a fair amount of camping from Team Ion there. Although they do have some forces on the flag. So Glassjaw's fetch, it looks like we're killed, perhaps by Overdose's Soulless, which is going to allow Overdose to move the rest of his army up.
Five minutes remaining.
Meanwhile, this battle between Father Xmas and Spy seems to have resolved, with Spy coming out on top, even though Father Xmas was able to bring up some hair on guards for tagging purposes. Yeah, so right now, Toonsonator really doesn't have any kind of opposition. He should be putting these fetch on the front lines and just blasting away at all this rabble, maybe putting some mauls to absorb some of these Soulless shots, or putting the Soulless on the other Soulless. But he really needs to get these fetch more in this area so he could start blasting everybody. But instead, maybe he's going after Overdose, or he's going after Glassjaw when he didn't really have to, because again, he should be playing for time. And now Overdose is engaging Toonsonator's fetch. Fortunately, he's going to get blasted.
Flag Flag contested.
You see sort of an outright rush from Overdose going after these fetch.
Team eliminated. Flag contested.
Now Overdose is going to back off and just try and accrue time. Now this white has all the momentum. He should just be blasting away, which he's starting to do. Also needs to watch out for this Soulless, which is kind of sneaking behind. And somehow Wings' Heron card is able to kill the last fetch on the battlefield. So that's definitely going to allow Glassjaw to move in relatively unopposed and just kind of sit on the flag, because nobody has enough enough melee units to sort of push Glassjaw off the flag. And he is in a very, very strong position right now. At this point, I'm not even sure if everybody combined could take out Glassjaw. So all he has to do is really just sit on the flag. Notice that Glassjaw has about a minute on the closest opponent, which is Spy. So I think Glassjaw really just has to sit on the flag for another 30 seconds or so, and he will lock up this game. And since he does have 69%, everyone else has, 35% or less. I don't see how he can lose this. Again, the ability of Glassjaw to get all of those soldiers in the middle so quickly was mostly due to Overdose and his camping tendencies. Pure cowardice on his part, and so you could argue that Overdose really ruined the game by being a bit slow to contest for this access point. And if Overdose played the game properly, he would have either killed Glassjaw or Glassjaw would have killed him, but his army would be a lot lower than 79% or whatever he had going into the final 2 minutes. Not sure why Glassjaw is running away.
Team eliminated. Flag
okay, that'll do it. So despite Glassjaw putting up some very good statistics and, dominating that game essentially, it was actually Toonsnader and Legacy Typhoon who got the most damage with 118. They had some really great fetch. I don't know if it was Legacy or Toonsnader, but they were certainly blasting away with those fetch, and that I think is what accounted for most of their damage. Again, since this is a 6-start map, Glassjaw, Spy, and Wings will all be safe, and then everyone else loses a life. So, that's that, and
team eliminated.
a very convincing win from
Game
Glassjaw.
over.
Here we go to game number 3. So this would have been Glassjaw's pick. Death in the Dire Marsh. Steal the Bacon. We have, 10 people in the game. So we have 5 teams of 2. Wings with Legacy Typhoon. Oh, we actually have 11. Walter White, Father Xmas, and Scratch. Cronjack and Glassjaw. Spy and Ion. Overdose and Toonsnader. So this is one of those maps kind of like I'll Fall on Your Grave or Spiderweb, where there are 5 starts. One guy starts in the middle, and they either need to put the ball somewhere fast or they need to get the heck out of there. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Another option would be for this Dwarven hero, rather, to drop all of their satchel charges and explode the ball. A lot of people call it punting. No doubt an allusion to the National Football League, which thankfully will be starting next Thursday with your defending Los Angeles Rams against the Buffalo Bills, with, I believe, Ozzy Osbourne playing a halftime show. So, you know, Ozzy is basically my favorite musician of all time. It'll be interesting to see what songs he plays. Anyway, it seems as though Wings and Legacy Typhoon are going to attempt to guard the ball. Keep in mind, this is I believe it was a 9-minute Steal the Bacon game. A lot of times on a map like Spiderweb or Grave, a Steal the Bacon game will be like 6 minutes. So this is going to be a long, drawn-out game. I don't see any fighting so far, so I think I can just keep the camera on this ball, see what happens.
Ball captured.
And now Kronjak, or Glassjaw rather, able to move the ball from the deep water, you know, metaphorically stealing the bacon. And now Wings has no sort of advantage in this game,
Contested.
except for potentially getting pinched by Overdose and Toonsinator. Are these Bowman heroes? Yes, Bowman heroes. Okay, so that's one thing I didn't mention, is that Bowman heroes are absolutely ridiculous. Even a Trow needs to get out of the way when those guys are around. And so this map is a bit ridiculous. We see Kronjak still running with the ball, or Glassjaw rather, and the ball is moving westward. We have a archers fight. Toonsinator's going to want to get out of there, or else he's going to lose the Trow. And he's going to lose that fetch. You know, generally the strategy, just like what Overdose told Toonsinator, run away from bows. That is the best strategy for dealing with them. You know, the only real weakness Bowman heroes have would be sort of a melee rush. And even then, you're probably going to lose a few guys. So,
captured.
yeah, those Bowman heroes are extremely dangerous. Overdose now capturing the ball, but he has no artillery because all of those artillery units, those fetch, those dwarves were destroyed by, I think, Legacy Typhoon. We see the Soulblighters with 99% completely camping, as well as Team Tight Sight. Not doing much, it appears. Most of the fighting is centered around Kronjak and Overdose. However, because Kronjak has these 4 Bowman heroes, Overdose is going to have to get out of there. Toonsonator's probably going to lose this trow. Well, I guess he doesn't. But because there are no healers on this map, this trow's the utility value is going to be pretty wiped out. We see a rush from Walter White. He needs to kill these Bowman heroes. Okay, yeah, so those Bowman heroes are going to go down, which really benefits the game. Everybody should be thanking Walter White for killing those Bowman heroes. I see only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's only 9 more Bowman heroes on the map. 3 minutes left. Now we see Toonsonator clumping his melee units while walking in proximity of these 2 fetch. Now, one of these can just blow up all of these spiders, so I think he's playing with fire, or actually playing with lightning. All Kronjak had to do was just turn around and blast all these spiders. I'm not sure what Kronjak's fetch are doing. He's just sort of walking around getting shot by Overdose. But he did have the opportunity to vaporize most of these units. And now they're getting rushed. Oh, I guess not getting rushed, but... yeah, Kronjak's team is getting surrounded by all sides. And actually, Overdose's team is in a precarious position because the Team Tight Sight is moving in. I think at this point, Kronjak's team is to just try and hold on to the ball for 1:30, but it's gonna be rough. Meanwhile, Ion's Bowman heroes are gonna kill Walter White's trow, but Walter White's army is going to kill these Bowman heroes.
Ball contested.
Ooh, nice throw from Overdose's dwarf, annihilating a huge amount of berserks there.
Captured. Ball contested.
Kronjak does have a chance if he can keep this dwarf from tagging the ball. I think Kronjak is scared that Overdose has all of his satchels, which he does. If this dwarf kicked that dwarf, it would have done massive damage, which is probably why he didn't do it. But now I would say with 18 seconds left, if the ball can be contested, these 4 Bowman heroes are going to deal massive damage.
Team eliminated.
But I don't know if they'll be able to get there in time. Kronjak just needs to hold it on for 1 more second, and they do it. Against all odds. Team Wings really had this game on a platter with 62%, and these 4 Bowman heroes, all they had to do was just shoot anything. All the trow were dead, or I guess except Kronjak's trow. But Legacy Typhoon wasn't able to contest this ball, and it was a great, bold play by Kronjak's team to steal the ball way back when it was here. The trow, I think, The Trow moved the ball all the way over here, and they held it for a minute and a half. So good on them. Pretty much all of these teams triple damage. Kronjak's team with 52, so they were playing the game type. They weren't trying to kill anybody, but it ended up in their favor. So I think with a five-team game, the top two are safe. So Kronjak and Glassjaw are safe. Spy and Ion as well. Again, this is the third game in a row that Father Xmas has lost a life, and also the third game in a row that Overdose has lost a life. So two very high-scoring players not doing so well. Oh, let's see. We have a message here. Walter White. Oh, yeah. Asking him to cast, but I guess he's not around, so I think I'll just continue without him. He says he's at the grocery store, so I'll let him do his grocery shopping, and we will go on to game number 4. Rest in Peace is Dark, Flag Rally. So again, this would have been Kronjak's pick. We have 4 teams: Father Xmas, Overdose, Scratch, Glassjaw, Walter White, Wings, Legacy Typhoon, Kronjak, Spy, Ion, and Toonsonator. So there are 4 teams. This is Flag Rally. Let's see what happens. One of the things that might irritate a lot of players is sort of the uneven distribution of the flags. So that's one thing to note when playing this game. However, this is, again, the casuals only tournament, and so asymmetrical maps, or maps where certain things are a bit uneven, isn't a huge drawback or something that isn't criticized too much. This is also a map with the Spider Queen unit, who are slightly faster than regular spiders, and they also have a sort of paralyzing bite. Of course, the Trow are immune to being paralyzed, but Goals, Myrmidons, and Fetch can be paralyzed from this Spider Queen here, even though in the case of Fetch, the Fetch will probably blast this thing before it even gets within biting range.
Flag captured.
So yeah, we're seeing Father Xmas's team probably going to camp up on this number 2 flag.
Flag
Glassjaw going to guard number 3. Ion's team going after number 4. Legacy Typhoon's team. I'm not really sure if they're going to guard flag number 1 or if they're just going to go on offense. They have tons of Soulless, which for a flag rally game, I'm not really sure how optimal that is. Especially in a game with Fetch, because Fetch are able to completely dismantle entire groups of Soulless.
Flag captured. Flag captured.
Keep in mind, this is a 4-start game, so only the winner is going to be safe. We see Overdose with some Soulless. Probably going to try and trap Walter White's Trow.
Flag captured.
If these spiders clump up and these Soulless guard this access, they can do a lot of damage. Walter White using the spacebar
Flag
dodge,
captured.
perhaps indicative of his lack of World War II experience. Not really sure what he's doing. This guy's gonna die.
Flag captured.
Walter White blaming the pathfinding, even though he had no way out, so not really sure what he's complaining about. Meanwhile, down south we have Legacy Typhoon on one side, Father Xmas on the other. We'll see if Ion's team are able to... are they going to mount to offense, or are they trying to mount some defense? Not really sure.
Flag captured.
I guess they're not really mounting any offense or defense. They're just trying to cross this bridge. If that's the case, then they're just going to get some shot. They're going to take some losses, but they'll probably
Flag
successfully
captured.
cross the bridge. Again, these fetch need to be canceling out some of these spears.
Flag
Not
captured.
really sure what the point of that was. Meanwhile, we see some. We see that Glassjaw actually is in the lead with 5 flags. Despite losing their trow, they still have a respectable percentage of their army left. Father Xmas with or Scratch with a perfect health trow.
Flag
Not
captured.
really doing much because he's stuck in the corner, sort of completely removed from the game. Maybe he tagged this flag number 6. That's his excuse. But, yeah. Father Xmas's team getting that 5th flag.
5 minutes remaining.
Not really sure what kind of exodus Team Ion is on. Keep in mind, they kind of swept through flag number 6, crossed this bridge, not really fighting back, and now they're moving up just as a huge singular army. They're not spreading out. They're not really, even these goals, which would best be
Flag captured.
spent sort of spreading out and tagging all these other flags. Even these guys are just sort of clumped together, so I don't know what is going on. But I think they're going to find themselves up against Father Xmas's army. Not sure why it's okay. Now these fetch are starting to blast. Some pressure being exerted on flag number 3. Team Ion is going to lose a few fetch. One thing to notice is that this trow is just hanging back. The trow could have been up here putting pressure on these fetch, perhaps even kicking a couple of them. Instead, now I think this trow might get trapped. Overdoses Soulless
Flag
might be
captured.
claiming a second trow
Victory imminent.
as a victim, even though these Myrmidons are also helping greatly. Doesn't look like Overdose is going to get that trow. Okay, he's going to stone him at least. there's this giant melee fight going down again because Team Ion decided to walk all the way across the map to kill Team Father Xmas. And I think Legacy Typhoon is going to benefit from that mutual destruction.
Flag captured. Victory imminent.
And now we have two
Flag
teams with
captured.
victory imminent. We have Team Glassjaw content to camp because they are in the
Flag
lead.
captured.
And then they do get this this last flag. So yeah, it's kind of strange how again, Team Ion just walked all the way across this map just to kill Team Father Xmas. And then once Team Father Xmas died, everyone rushed in to tag this flag. So, interesting. One thing to note, Scratch with the trow and a handful of spiders, not really doing much. Perhaps if the trow were a bit back here playing defense and only the spiders were out tagging, that might have saved the game. But yeah, who knows? We see, again, Team Father Xmas with the most damage. Everyone else, well, these top two teams were playing the game type, it seems. And again, Team Ion really aggressive. So good for them. And this was another interesting game.
Game over.
Here we go to game 5. This is Ground Zero Dark, last man on the hill. So we have 11 players still, 3 teams: Glassjaw, Ion, Legacy Typhoon, Scratch, Cronjack, Overdose, Toonsonator, Father Xmas, Spy, Walter White, and Wings. So this is going to be an interesting game because both Team Glassjaw and Team Scratch have one player each who has, double-digit lives, whereas Team Father Xmas, of course, the leader of the tournament is Father Xmas, but Walter White and Wings also have a significant amount of lives. So if Glassjaw and Scratch win, that means Father Xmas, Walter White, and Wings all lose a life, which would be in the best interest of everybody else. And so, again, strictly from kind of a larger, tournament perspective, it could be argued that Glassjaw and Scratch should team up against Father Xmas just to see each of these 3 players lose a life. But there might be some protests to that, so who knows. Now, this is an 8-minute last man on the hill game. I don't expect much action to happen
Flag
for most of
captured.
these 7 minutes remaining. Hopefully these teams will surprise me somehow, but I doubt it. Let me just talk about who's trowing, because that's pretty important. We have Ion trowing for Team Glassjaw, Overdose trowing for Team Scratch, and Walter White trowing for Team Father Xmas. The trades appear to be fairly identical. Some teams have more Zerks or more
Flag
Soulless,
captured.
but in general the unit trade is the same. And I expect I expect all three of these teams to be fairly meek and to not be overly aggressive. Of course, this is in stark contrast to the Geralt picked King of the Hill
captured.
TFL style that happened, I think, in week 2,
Flag
or maybe
lost.
even week 1, where
Flag captured.
I think the winner had about 50 seconds, and then the second place team had about 9 seconds. So, or that might have been GZD 6. I'm not sure, but again, this an 8-minute last man on the hill is a very stark contrast to a 6-minute King of the Hill TFL style. One thing to note is that Scratch's team has 6 fetch, whereas Glassjaw's team has 2,
Flag lost.
and
5 minutes remaining.
Father Xmas's team has 3.
Flag captured.
There is 0 presence sort of in this area. It seems like both the red team and the yellow team are fortifying their position against the purple team. Well, not really fortifying any side. They have no presence going up against each other. Even something like sending this white down to just stand in this area, might be in the best interest of the yellow team, even though it probably wouldn't do much. And now yellow is attacking red. So I think at this point the 3 teams are really just kind of probing each other, so to speak.
Flag lost.
Testing the defenses. Seems like Toonsonator's fetch might be onto something. Again, the purple team has 6 fetch, and the red team only has 3. So they could conceivably, as long as they can keep these trow away, they could just push the red team off of this area, and now the yellow team is following suit. Again, there's only 1 fetch on this side, so it's going to be difficult for that fetch to keep away all of these Soulless. So who is this? Father Xmas wisely backs up. Not sure why these fetch are retreating. There are 6 fetch, and now that they're just walking around aimlessly getting shot by these Soulless. I don't know why that's happening. 5 fetch even, let alone 6, are more than enough to just blast this entire group of people. But I guess this Kronjak and Toonsonator are deciding to play a bit passive, and it resulted in one of Kronjak's fetch getting killed by a Soulless. Now we see Walter White and a contingent of melee units testing this side of Team Glassjaw. If Toonsonator were able to get his fetch to about here, they could pin the yellow team against this little plateau and just blast all these guys to hell. I don't think Toonsonator sees it, or maybe he sees it now, but these melee units are able to escape. Alright, so we have about 35 seconds left in the game. You know, most teams still have all of their units for the most part. Again, these fetch, instead of hiding behind, they need to be sort of on the front line blasting these soulless.
Flag captured. Flag contested. Flag lost. Flag contested. Flag contested. Flag contested. Sudden death.
Again, I'm not sure why these fetch are shooting the Trow instead of shooting these soulless. I think Toonsonator now realizes he needs to go after... Okay, there he goes. Pushing off some of these units. Now, Overdose is going after these yellow Trow. Unfortunately, Walter White takes the opportunity to move in and attack Scratch's army.
Flag lost.
Team Purple sneaking in a tag.
Flag captured.
But again, at this point, this is where the tournament play starts to come in. Again, as long as Team Yellow or Purple win, you know, 3 of these tournament leaders are going to lose a life. And I think Overdose realizes that, and he's just going to allow...
Contested.
Or actually, at this point, yeah, Team Yellow has this game in hand pretty much. And I don't, you know, it wasn't really in Overdose's best interest to go after Team Yellow when he knew that it was going to be difficult to win the game. So he went after Team Red to make sure that, again, these 3 tournament leaders would at least lose a life.
Game over.
Which would be which is absolutely preferable. Yep, so there you go. Looks like the purple team led the way with 168 damage, but of course, Team Glassjaw, who it seems like he was captain at least 3 times in these free-for-all games. He is a formidable captain, and he's able to lead Legacy Typhoon and Ion to a free-for-all victory against, you know, some very veteran players such as Scratch, Father Xmas, etc. So yeah, that concludes the free-for-all portion of the Sunday games, and now we shall move on to the 2-team games, starting with Capture the Flag on Mjilaphobia. Seems to be the same group of guys. Here we go. Or actually, I think we might have lost somebody. But we have the pink team, Legacy Typhoon, Ion, Toonsonator, Walter White, and Overdose versus the yellow team, Glassjaw again captaining Wings, Scratch, Spy, and Father Xmas. So, you know, on the surface, I would say that Team Glassjaw has probably the more experienced team, but I wouldn't count out Team Legacy Typhoon because, maybe Walter White, Overdose, the sort of heavy hitters, so to speak, of this team, they might have something up their sleeves. Who knows? This is a interesting map. Capture the flag, so not really sure how effective, the soulless going to the sides are going to be. Again, I like to say that this is kind of the opposite of if I had a trow, in the fact that, if I had a trow and desert, most people go to the middle and there might be a couple of flanks, whereas in this map, most people go north and south, and there might be some people who go up the middle. So it's kind of the inverse, if you will. So we see plenty of artillery from Legacy Typhoon. Again, a lot of soulless, 4 warlocks, 4 fetch, Glassjaw, 2 warlocks, 6 fetch, and no soulless. Quite a few Zerks. And also a couple of whites, which may come into play later. Not really sure. But one thing to note is that Glassjaw got the 6 fetch. When it comes to fetch versus warlocks, you almost always want to go with the fetch, simply because the fetch can destroy a warlock's fireball, pretty much guaranteed, whereas a warlock is at a severe disadvantage versus a fetch. So I like Glassjaw's trade quite a bit better than Legacy's trade. I think 4 warlocks on this map, plus this huge amount of soulless, is a bit too much artillery. I absolutely would have preferred that Legacy Typhoon got 6 fetch. I guess the soulless, not really the worst thing in the world, but I would have rather had some more Zerks. And I think 2 warlocks would have been sufficient.
Game
but
on.
That's in the past. So we see that, so Overdose is actually moving some units to the flag. Legacy Typhoon, perhaps unaware that it is capture the flag, not really aware that he needs to put some units on the flag, whereas Glassjaw, he has a small contingent of units for defense. We see these Legacy Typhoon Soulless and Overdoses Warlock going south. All 4 of Legacy Typhoon's fetch are going north, in addition to 2 warlocks. Toonsonator is rotating south to help out Overdose. These souls probably need to be moving forward. Not really sure what they're doing. Meanwhile, we have a huge melee force. Who is this? Scratch. Securing this passageway up here. Not sure why Walter White's running away. He could easily kill all these guys. Yeah, again, even with this second group of Zerks, I think Walter White could have destroyed this entire group of people right here with this Merc pack. So, again, I absolutely think Walter White should have just attacked these guys. He would have won, and then could have retreated once the fetch started getting too close. We see a engagement going on here. Overdose and Spy. Spy perhaps taunting a bit, as is something that Canadians do. These Soulless are going to be the Soulless are going to play a key role, even though I wasn't a fan of trading for them. Or actually, I don't know where they're going now, but if the Soulless were to sort of get up on here and throw at these fetch, they can give Toonsinator and Overdose a chance. But as it stands, you know, with these 2 Warlocks versus these 2 fetch, Toonsinator and Overdose are forced to retreat. Now there seems to be a battle brewing up here as well. Again, I don't know why these Soulless aren't going after these fetch. Okay, they're throwing some javelins, but yeah, these fetch are able to just push Walter White off. Large explosion happened. Somehow the fetch died. Probably these Legacy Typhoon Soulless, so great job by him. These Soulless need to target this Warlock, or else something bad's about to happen. Yep. That's not good, but the Soulless do get the Warlock, but it could be a little too little too late. Walter White's force has been decimated. Wings and Scratch with the fetch are sort of boxing in Walter White. He doesn't have much of a choice right now. I think he should really just go for the rush, which I think is what he's doing. He should target the melee instead of the... I think he targeted the wrong group. I think if you were to pop these Zerks, then the Mercuridia could have gone in and killed the fetch. But, I mean, Walter White was in a really tough position. I really do think, had those 2 fetch gone after these melee units, he might have been able to survive. But at the same time, it was 2-on-1 the whole time, so there was only so much he could do. Meanwhile, we see Overdose's units and Toonsinator's units were lost, and Spy and Father Xmas are making a push for the flag, along with these 7 Berserks. We'll see. So this is Overdose right here. We'll see what he can do
Flag contested
against a pretty strong group of incoming soldiers.
Flag contested.
So Overdose is able to kill Spy's units. And now he's engaging... Who's this? Wings. And it looks like he's going to get him. Overdose, perhaps with a little bit of micro magic there.
Flag contested.
If you'll notice, these 4 Soulless are making a beeline for the flag, as is this Mercuridia, which will make short work of that maul right there. So it's key for Overdose to stall until I guess Walter White's Mercuridia can take that flag. But Overdose is going to have to dodge some fireballs, it seems.
Flag contested. Flag lost.
And this Berserk runs, I think it's Scratch maybe, walks off the flag, which gives Overdose the win. Or Overdose's team, rather. You know, I hate to take all the glory, but that melee stand right there was pretty epic. You know, Mr. Thrend atop the pile dead really piled up some dead, so to speak, and I think resulted in Legacy Typhoon sort of escaping with a win. I think all of the momentum was with Team Glassjaw, but you know, with a little micromanagement magic, I think that melee fight really turned the tide, and you know, Walter White sending in that Mercridia to kill the Maul at the end. Legacy Typhoon was able to steal a victory there.
Team eliminated. Game over.
All right, and with that, we shall go to game number 7. This is the Dark Canyon Assassin. So we have Team Overdose with Walter White, Wings, Father Xmas, and Glassjaw versus Team Spy, Scratch, Toonsnader, Ion, and Legacy Typhoon. So the assassin targets in this game are these three statues. And one thing to notice is that Team Tax Evaders, pretty much all 5 of these players are the top 5 in the tournament. So, you know, this is a pretty stacked team. And for that matter, I don't think anybody on Team Spy has any lives remaining. So, you know, from a tournament perspective, there's no real consequence to this game because all 5 of us are on the same team. But nonetheless, we are going to play this game through. So Overdose giving the Trow to Walter White, the Fetch to Glassjaw. I think Overdose is keeping some Fetch and Wings. Father Xmas with the Soulless. And Spy side, we see Spy with the Trow. Toonsnader, Ion, and Legacy with groups of Soulless. Toonsnader, Legacy, and Ion also with 3 Fetch. So I don't really like the decision of Spy to give both Soulless and Fetch and melee units, or a bunch of Zerks, to one player. I think that's a bit much. Scratch also given 2 Trow. Definitely a bit much. I think giving Soulless to one player is optimal in this scenario.
Game on.
So I think I'll just focus on the middle here. Overdose is instructing Wings and Glassjaw to play defense, where Walter White, Father Xmas, and Overdose go up the middle. Except Father Xmas isn't going anywhere. We see Walter White discovering that very few units are guarding this target. Even though there are 2 Trow there, I think he should make a push. Meanwhile, these Soulless are not doing... These Soulless could easily just cross this ravine and kill this target. I'm not sure what Father Xmas is doing. Walter White able to kill that group of Zerks. I think Scratch is going to be forced to retreat, which will leave Walter White to kill this target. Oh, Scratch is actually engaging there. And now I think Walter White needs to back off because the reinforcements are there. There's a soulless fight going on. That dwarf is getting annihilated. Overdose could be, I think, protecting these soulless a little bit better. But now we have other Xmas spiders coming in. These fetch seemingly AFK. I'm not really sure what that was about. And now these Father Xmas spiders are going to be able to go after the fetch up there, which is going to be key. Wow. Great job from Father Xmas to kill those 3 fetch. Now we see Walter White just cruising around. He's going to be able to kill this target, which in this game type, killing 2 targets is essentially the same thing as getting victory imminent in a flag rally game. The only way Team Spy will be able to win the game is if they kill all 3 of Overdose's targets. We see a huge group of spiders. They need to watch out. Legacy, what are you doing? Oh, that's gonna hurt. Spy saying maybe just rush it. It is 53% to 90%. Father Xmas going after the fetch, which at this point I'm not really sure how important that is. Again, had Father Xmas not just sat on this hill and kept moving forward, I think there was a strong chance he could have killed this target. I don't think Walter White is going to be able to kill this group here. See Glassjaw making his move. Once these fetch sort of get here, then it's pretty much going to be all over. So in a way, Father Xmas, by getting annihilated, he's doing a great job distracting these units and preventing them from getting into position from where they can actually defend this final target. But you know, now that these fetch are in position, there's a huge group of mauls to defend them. you know, this is pretty much going to be over. And the fetch could even start shooting the target. Okay, instead the mauls are going to get to work on the target.
Team
And there
eliminated.
it is. Yeah, so I think that was an interesting game. You know, it was a good job by Walter White bringing up all three of his trow, killing this target here, and also a great job from Father Xmas moving up the gut. Even though I still think he could have killed this target and saved a few minutes of our lives if he didn't just sit on this hill for a while. But in the end, the tax evaders were able to triumph in that game. Unfortunately, Spy, you know, they kind of got annihilated there, as shown by that 78% victory.
Game over.
All right, this is game number 8, Beckoning Wilds, Flag Rally. And again, Overdose is the team captain with Ion Wings and Glassjaw against Father Xmas, Scratch, Toonsonator, and Spy. This is a 9-flag map, so it'll be interesting to see where the major battles are going to take place. Obviously, this middle flag is going to be a sort of popular place for some battles to go down. But yeah. So one thing to remember is that prior to week 3, somebody demanded some forest giant maps, and so this is the forest giant map for the Sunday games. See, Father Xmas is doling out some units. He is giving Scratch both forest giants. Glassjaw claiming that he's never really used a forest giant before, but he'll give it a good college try. That may be a hint of things to come, who knows, but Overdose decides to give Wings and Glassjaw a forest giant. And the major differences, I think, between the two armies is that I think Overdose got quite a few more Stygian Knights. And Father Xmas got 9 fetch, Overdose got 8. And I think those are the major differences. I think Overdose is going to guard this flag, flag number 6.
Game on.
Or perhaps flag number 9, who knows. Overdose got 3 whites. He's probably going to pop 2 and sink 1. I don't see... Okay, so I see Father Xmas maybe is going to sink all 3 of the whites.
Flag captured.
It's probably because there isn't really
Flag
any
captured.
great places for a white.
Flag captured.
Obviously right here would be nice, but the entry point would probably be
Flag
around here somewhere.
captured.
So we see Glassjaw is forced to back up because of the dual forest giants. Wings deciding to cross the river.
Flag captured.
Not really sure what Wings
Flag
is doing.
captured.
Scratch is taking the opportunity to attack these Ion Fetch, who are completely removed from the rest of his units. Not sure what Ion was doing there. He just left all of his Fetch to die. Here comes Overdose with his Fetch. He's going to try and seal off this passageway so that maybe Scratch's army can get a bit bottled in. But instead, Ion is running away. I don't think he sees the play there. But I also think that Glassjaw might have been too far away, so who knows. We see Wings standing completely
Flag
idle.
captured.
You know, the forest giant units really need to be the ones who create the action. And so the fact that his forest giant is just kind of standing around, I'm not really sure what that's all about. I guess it might be because he's busy with these Zerks. But, you know, this really needs to be moving around. If anything, it needs to be going up here to reinforce these this battle that's going on, but it looks like Glassjaw is going to get annihilated. And, yeah, that's not good.
Flag captured.
Now this forest giant's starting to move, so that's good. Wings is going to lose his forest giant. Nice throw there from Glassjaw, but there's nothing to attack. So, despite a great throw, it's not going to lead to much. And Team Father Xmas is steamrolling the tax evaders. Yeah, perhaps Overdose should have given both forest giants to one player. You know, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell when you only have 4 people on your team. But maybe keeping them together was the better strategy.
Flag captured. Victory imminent.
All right,
Flag
so the tax
captured.
evaders are able to get victory imminent, but there's not much that they're going to be able to
Flag
do
captured.
against this huge flag number 8 defense. The only hope for Team Overdose is to hold out for 7 minutes, which is going to be a very tall order. these ghasts might be a problem for these forest giants because they do have a paralyzing strike. Oh, Overdose losing a bunch of Zerks right there. That is probably going to do it.
Flag captured. Victory
so
imminent.
this is actually going to be the last flag. But yeah, it's 71% to 5%, so it's not really going to happen, I don't think, for Team Overdose. And it looks like Father Xmas's Berserk is going to close out this game.
Flag captured.
Yeah, so that was an interesting game. You know, Scratch, obviously, with a huge amount of damage, 139, 39 kills. You know, great performance from the veteran. You know, Glassjaw, his first time playing with the Forest Giant. Wings, again, you know, probably pretty new with the Forest Giant unit. Weren't able to do too much damage. But you know, it was a tough situation because, again, we went from having 10 players to 8 players, and even though, you know, 5-on-5 and 4-on-4 might seem very close to each other, you know, that one fewer person on each team makes a really big difference, to the point where, you know, Overdose might have made a mistake by splitting the Forest Giants. Maybe he should have just kept them together. And maybe even kept the Forest Giants himself, who knows. But there it is, Father Xmas. It could be his first win of the day. Or actually, no, the last game was his first win. So he's won 2 in a row, if you're keeping tabs.
Game over.
Okay, someone sent me a message here. Who is this idiot? Hey dude, bad news, can't make it today, ladies. Okay, so long story short, Spy can't play today. Too bad. Okay, so let's just go to game number 9. Caer Cadarn Light, last man on the hill. Okay, so I think this might be the third out of 4 games, 2-team games, that Overdose is captained, or maybe the second, I don't know. But we have Overdose Wings, Ion Spy, and Scratch against Tuncenator, Xenophone, Father Xmas, and Glassjaw. So this map is actually quite reminiscent of Dead of Winter, where you know, you have these sort of diagonally oriented armies, and you got a little island in the middle, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a slugfest because it is last man on the hill, so there's no real game type that needs to be played. It's just going to come down to a giant fight. So we see that Overdose has opted for quite a few archers. He's obviously expecting sort of a longer, protracted fight. Whereas Toonsnader opted for the thrall strategy and fewer archers. Given the fact that Toonsnader only has 4 people on his team, this might actually be the better unit trade. Whereas, with 5 people, I think that the extra archers might not be the worst thing in the world, as long as they're protected, and the dwarves can get up there and start blowing up some of these thrall. Overdose saying Ion Sink White, so perhaps Overdose, who got 6 goals, he's planning on sinking 2, because he did get 5 total. Of course, he would heal 3 of them. Toonsnader has 8 goals and 4 whites, so it's likely that he's going to heal all 4 of them.
Game on.
And so, yeah, Overdose's strategy, I think, is just going to be go to the middle and start shooting arrows. Use the thrall to defend. Whereas Toonsnader's strategy is going to be use the thrall to push and, have the archers be sort of on, hunting dwarves and that kind of thing. Wing sending some scouts. Spy moving in. These Toonsnader archers a little bit slow, as well as Father Xmas. Not really sure what they're doing up there. But yeah, one thing I like about Team Overdose is that they just they're getting up to the front line very quickly, whereas Toonsnader, Father Xmas, and Toonsnader are falling a bit behind. Overdose saying, wait for my thrall, then push.
5 minutes remaining.
Ion, unfortunately, being very conspicuous about his white. Overdose, on the other hand, sneaking his white all the way around. I think that would have been sort of the optimal thing to do. So despite Overdose saying wait for the goal or wait for thrall and then go, no one is really going until now, I guess. Wing's taking a very long time to get to the middle. I'm not sure what he was doing.
Flag
but these pus are utterly destroying these archers. And the thrall are getting enough push to the point where Team Toonsnader is on their heels. Again, not sure what Wings is doing, just kind of standing around. Nice pus there from Wings. Bad throw by Overdose. I think that might have been a pus misfire from somebody. Maybe Toonsinator. But these warriors should have been up on the front lines. But I think all of the fast-moving units for Team Toonsinator are dead, and it's just Thrall, Archers, and Dwarves who are really the only forces available. It's also 74% to 39%, so I'm not really sure what Team Toonsinator can do at this point. Keep in mind, it is last man on the hill, so all Team Overdose has to do is just sit on the hill and wait for them to attack. Ion able to get that white into position. Overdose also able to get his white into position, which is just going to make the task even more difficult for the Baldies. So I think perhaps Toonsinator's strategy is to wait till 1 minute, then go. Yeah, it's about that time, so I think Father Xmas is going to move in this group of guys.
Flag contested.
Fortunately, Overdose probably isn't going to get to use that white, but Ion might be able to.
"30 seconds remaining."
There goes Ion's white. We'll see if he's able to get anything. I think he killed his own dwarf right there. And then Overdose is able to kill a couple of Thrall, maybe. Maybe a friendly Archer, not really sure. But at this point, the game's well in hand. And
Game over.
Team Tax Evaders is able to take it down. This is the last game, Territories on Krakatoa. Again, with Team Overdose. This might have been, what, 3 out of 5 games that I was captain? But, yeah, so we got Team Father Xmas, Ion, Spy, and Scratch versus Overdose, Toonsinator, Wings, Xenophone, and Glassjaw. Now this is a very, very interesting map, very whiteable. So I think I maxed whites on this game. 6 whites maybe. Plenty of deep water for some ambushes. Also notable is this cannon that can really only fire in like this kind of radius. So your Overdose going for an extremely melee-heavy strategy, only getting 6 archers and 4 dwarves. I think he's just going for a slugfest type game. Father Xmas also with slightly more I think 2 more archers, but again, very melee dependent. Of course, Father Xmas only got 3 whites, so it'll be interesting to see if he heals all of them, or maybe he'll sink one. Not really sure, but I think Overdose was planning. I think I was planning on sinking 3 and healing 3. Or actually, since I got 12 goals, maybe I was planning on healing all of them. Not really sure. See Father Xmas still handing out units, maybe.
Game on.
Yeah, I guess Overdose decided to heal all the whites. So despite me hyping this map up as a very, sinkable map, or a white sinkable map, I don't think anybody, or actually Father Xmas looks like he might be sinking one. Spy, very slow to move, as is Father Xmas. His orders are to just rush mid, but none, a huge percentage of his army is not rushing mid. And the few that are, they're sort of going this way.
Flag
I'm not
captured.
really sure if they're going to curl up towards the
Flag
middle, if they're just
captured.
going to continue on to this flag here. So I think Team Overdose is a little bit faster. Again, these archers just kind of standing around, as well as this spy dwarf. Meanwhile, pretty much everybody for Team Overdose is moving forward.
Flag captured.
Father Xmas saying, "Spy, spy, WTF, spy, you hear."
Flag captured.
So it looks like this is going to be the first area of engagement. Xenophone may be wasting a pus there, not really sure what he was trying to do. Xenophone wasting another pus, doing some friendly damage along the way. And that was a nice throw. Great throw there from Xenophone, perhaps redeeming himself. Huge explosion there. Glassjaw is able to sort of trap these guys
Contested.
in the middle.
Flag captured.
These thralls should be moving out to trap these guys completely. Not really sure what Overdose is doing. So now we have sort of this isolated group of melee units being sort of bottled in from 3 different directions. I think Overdose is now going to try and put his thrall here to seal in these warriors.
Flag contested. Flag contested. Flag captured.
So now Spy's warriors are going to get pretty much annihilated from both sides. Now we see these Father Xmas archers finally making an appearance. I'm not sure if Team Overdose has any pus left. I think Wings is going to err on the side of caution and back up a bit. Should be calling for some reinforcements who are going to come from Toonsinator and Glassjaw, it looks like.
Flag lost.
But yeah, these ghouls are going to do a number on these archers. And I think about now, Wings should be turning around. But instead, Wings is continuing to vacate the premises. Okay, now he's turning around.
Flag contested.
Not sure what these warriors are doing. Maybe they're going for a tag. Yeah, okay.
Flag captured.
And these Glassjaw warriors are causing havoc amongst the archers. Great job by him. Wings' warriors moving in.
Flag
And I
captured.
think they're just going to sort of mop this up. Meanwhile, over here we have a dwarf and a warrior. Xenophone sort of closing that out. And those archers are going to get slaughtered. The only real force left is this dwarf.
Flag lost.
One thing Xenophone could have done was spread out his thrall and try and trap this dwarf. But since he's a World War II player, he's really just fixated on this bottle fight.
Flag captured.
And there's what is clearly an AFK spy dwarf.
Flag contested.
I'm not sure if he was even here this game.
Flag captured.
See a nice cannon shot, unfortunately killing most of Spy's dwarf there. And I think, aside from these thrall over here, this dwarf is really the last
5 minutes
unit that
remaining.
can mount any kind of offense.
Flag lost. Flag lost.
That was not a good throw from scratch. And that is going to do it for that dwarf. I think that all that's remaining now is just these 4 thrall.
Flag captured.
So it's really just a matter of Team Overdose chasing down the thrall or tagging all the flags.
Flag captured.
And I think I'm just going to fast forward a bit. I don't think we need to see this.
Flag contested. Flag contested. Flag captured. Flag lost. Flag captured. Flag contested. Flag captured.
Alright, there we go. That is the end. So great job by Wings, great job from Xenophone and Glassjaw with their, you know, some wild pus throws from Xenophone, but I think a couple of them landed. You know, great job from Wings in the north, killing all those archers, and you know, Glassjaw trapping the middle force with his force on this, I guess you would call it peninsula or you know, strip of land, whatever. And great effort.
Flag contested.
Yep, so that's going to do it for this video. In about 1 hour, I have week 4 going on, so I'm going to probably take a nap because I've been up for a while because of this damn Southern California heat wave. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.